Welcome back to Obscure Gaming, where I search both high and low for very odd video games that usually end up being bootlegs. Today being no exception, as we'll be taking a look at that Super Nintendo classic, Pokemon Gold Silver, not to be confused with Pokemon Gold and Silver, two individual and officially licensed products from Nintendo. Pokemon Gold Silver is a game that wants to meld the two products into one, creating a new platforming experience, or it's just an unfortunately named game. I'm gonna go with mine, but I'm sure the story will help put things into perspective. Is something I thought until I realized that there is no story to be found. Our closest thing to a story is the title screen, featuring this MS Paint version of the Pokemon font, an upside down Pokeball, which that's a really good sign, as well as a split-screen image of a gold Chikorita and a silver Totodile to really drive that whole color thing home. Upon hitting start, you're presented with various modes of play, a whole 2 of them, Chikorita and Wananako. Wananako being Totodile's Japanese name and Chikorita being misspelled and hilarious, so I picked her. Although when you're dropped into the actual gameplay, you can switch between the two on the fly, making the mode thing kind of pointless. Regardless, it's time to set off on a magical Pokemon adventure with your bootleg trainer man to visit a handful of everyone's favorite Pokemon locales, like the Wubame Forest, Kyoko City, Elf Mountain, and who can forget Dark Hole. All of which culminates into a climactic final boss battle with Mewtwo, obviously Chikorita and Totodile's natural enemy. But of course, you have to earn the right to fight Mewtwo, so first you must make it through each stage, taking out every Pokemon and/or bootlegged thing in your path, while obsessively collecting tiny things like in any good platformer. To accomplish this task, you'll need to make use of Totodile and Chikorita's unique abilities. Totodile being able to shoot bubbles and do a butt slam that stuns enemies for a very short period of time, while Chikorita can shoot leaves and fly, flying being a very helpful ability to have in the game that wants you to hop on platforms, as you get to ignore those and then just hover in the air and then fall in the pits and die like I did. Now, while at a first glance the game may seem like a decent experience, rest assured it's janky as hell. Some of the jank helping you, like being able to reach platforms that you wouldn't be able to otherwise because your character has a weird hitbox that kind of pushes them upwards. I'm not really sure how it works, but it helps. Less helpful are the enemies that just pop onto screen out of nowhere as you're platforming, making them a tad difficult to dodge unless you've already played the game at least once before, which is fairly unrealistic. There are platforms for you to fall through and die, and some questionable enemy placement that seems a tad excessive at times. In a lucky turn of events though, the AI is stupid and just follows its basic patterns, rinse and repeat. This goes for Mewtwo as well, making for a pretty lame-ish final boss battle, though the god-awful level design is what easily takes the cake here. It's not unusual for your typical 2D platformer to have you moving in one direction, usually the right, until you reach the end of the stage, and then you move on to the next stage and move to the right again. But Pokemon Gold Silver wants to stand out from the crowd by adding in an overkill amount of platforming and going in other directions. The prime example of this being Elf Mountain, a stage where you'll make your way all the way to the right so you can jump up and then go all the way to the left. From there, you get on clouds and you move to the right again, go up, head to the left, all while trying to avoid enemies as everything is trying to kill you. The stage started on the left side of the screen and ends on the same side of the screen, but you have to go through hell in order to get there. Another problem stage, Dark Hole, features not only the same issue as Elf Mountain with its excessive use of platforming, but also a section where the game just kinda breaks. I wasn't sure what happened at first, thought it was just a part of the stage, what with it being named Dark Hole and whatnot. I thought I fell into a dark hole, but after leaving the system running for like 10 minutes, I found poor Chikorita trapped in poor cable reception hell. Which was funny, but incredibly disheartening considering this was the stage before the final boss, and I didn't want to play the game again. Overall, the game is certainly playable, and if you know the enemy layout, you can avoid some of the issues, but the level design is just stupid and more annoying than anything else. Things get a little better if we focus on the visuals, though really weird if we focus on them too hard. Most character sprites look decent enough, especially the ones that seem to be directly taken from other sources, especially another bootleg game called Pokemon Stadium. Point in case, Mr. Mewtwo here, or Moo as he was known in that game. The sprites that are not lifted from that game, however, are a tad questionable, like weird-looking Squirtle with a giant head, an Oddish, I think, this flying crab, this Poliwhirl who is not the right color, and normal bats, as opposed to Zubat, though they're still annoying, so fair enough. The stages are fairly bland, despite exciting names like Dark Hole and Elf Mountain. It's just generic forest setting and mountainy waterfall location and underneath the earth, and of course hell, which you may or may not find should you play the game, which you should not do. It's a tad irritating that the background image is static and never moves, definition of static, though when weighing that issue in with the size of Squirtle's head, I'd say the questionable designs are probably the worst of the two. But surely the audio will save the day, everyone hopes. Here's a listen. The music overall is a plain, hey, happy vibe that's probably stolen from something else. The sound effects of the game, though, are fucking nuts. You may have noticed that annoying beeping noise. The game just kind of does that. I don't know why. I do know that after a little bit, I turned the volume of my TV down, and after listening to it now while editing this video, it's not really doing that much for me. Overall, no. All things considered, you can do worse than Pokemon Gold Silver for the Super Nintendo in terms of bootlegs, but you can also do better, like that Pokemon Stadium game, or the NES remake of Diamond, or Sapphire with 1P. So at least for me, this title is an oddity that, while neat to experience, is more fun to ignore and just play the real Gold and Silver instead. This has been Obscure Gaming. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to End Slate, where I have sleepies in my eyes, but I'm gonna power through anyways. You just watched the new Obscure Gaming on Pokemon Gold Silver, that classic title. I hope you enjoyed the video, but let's not dilly-dally here. Let's just hop straight into that hot End Slate action of the video, clicking on stuff and things. Tired. First, I'll recommend the last video I did on this channel, which was a Game of Mysteries on the beta of Skies of Arcadia, and also the cancelled sequel to Skies of Arcadia. So if you'd like to check that out, it's there. And then I also put up the last bullshit creepypasta storytime I did, as well as the first part of my Resident Evil 4 Let's Play over on the Gameplay channel I never tell you guys about, because I just finished that Let's Play today. I finished it. It's the first one. Technically the second. I did something. Yay! So if you want to check that out, you're free to do so, but, you know, I'm not going to force you. Bottom of the screen. Nico does the art for the channel, so you should follow him on the social stuff. And then I also have social stuff, and you can follow me if you want. I'm not good with asking about that. And then, this part of the video, you know, if you like the video and you want to see more, you want to subscribe, or like the video, or share it, or do any of those things, it's helping, it's helpful, but I will not force you to do it, because that's not, I don't do that. And for anyone wondering, don't worry, this wasn't the Halloween special, and that has not been cancelled, but it is an editing nightmare for how I do certain videos. So, bear with me, it's gonna be a star-studded finale. But until then, this has been an End Slate. I'm gonna end the video. Bye-bye.